Hey guys, thanks for watching my channel today. My name's Don and my channel is all about fishing. Mostly after the age of 70, but I'll talk about fishing at any age. I'm going to talk about a subject today that kind of got me in a little hot water, and I'm going to approach it a little bit differently. So my subject today is, are women better anglers than men? And I'm going to try to be as honest as I can here. Did you ever notice how dangerous some questions can be? This is one of them. So, before the comments section lights up like it did the last time I did a video on this very subject, let me just say this up front. I'm not into bashing men because I happen to be one. And I'm not trying to say that women are better fishermen, better anglers than men are. What I am saying is that after decades on the water, after fishing tournaments, fun fishing, good days, bad days, I've noticed something. And when the fishing gets tough, women often are the ones who catch the fish. Yeah, I said it. I said it out loud, but hear me out. Most men, especially us old bass fishermen, we like to power fish. Big rods, heavy line, cover water fast. If it doesn't bite in 10 seconds, reel it in and fire off another cast or another flip. And that way works great when the when the fish are really biting. But when they're not, that's when women start quietly putting fish in the boat. No chest thumping, no excuses, just fish. And here's the first difference, first big difference, I guess, that I've seen. Women are so much more patient, and patience does catch fish. Uh, they'll fish a worm slower, they'll work a bait longer, and they won't rush a cast because the guy in the front of the boat is already on his fifth cast. They're not in competition with anybody. Most men are thinking, all right, this spot's dead, let's move on. And then the fish bites. And right after you stepped out of that spot, they've cast it in and let it sit, and they've caught a fish. Not to prove you're wrong, just to prove that patience does win. The second thing is finesse fishing. A lot of women don't resist finesse tactics. Light line doesn't bother them in the least. Small baits, that's fine. They don't feel it represents a weakness. They don't feel like it means they're fishing for small fish. They're not worried about looking tough. Um, they are worried about getting bit. And so they're thinking through the process, what can I do to catch fish today? And unlike a man who might be stubborn enough or bullheaded enough to keep throwing that large bait, you know, they'll downsize their baits. I've seen women outfish men all day with a little shaky head or a drop shot while the guys are still swinging broomsticks and wondering what happened to the bass. Even the hook set. Men like to set the hook like we're trying to pull the fish's ancestors out of the lake. Women, they tend to feel the bite, lean into it, and keep steady pressure. The result, they miss fewer fish. We tend to pull the hook right out of the bass's mouth, not women. They have a much softer approach. As a result, they lose far less fish. And that's not just an opinion, that's an observation. And here's a big one that nobody talks about, and that's ego. Men fish with pride. I know I do. I don't think you can eliminate that from a man any more than, you can uh, eliminate their willingness to uh, protect. It's just part of who they are. But men fish with pride. Women fish with curiosity. If something isn't working, women will change the bait. They'll change the color. They might change the depth. Anything that's going to require them to think through the process, they're willing to do. Men, on the other hand, hey, I caught them like this yesterday. I'm going to keep fishing this way. No changes. It worked last week. It'll work today. Yep. Well, that's not necessarily true. So when the fish are aggressive, when it's power fishing season, when you've got cold water and you've got to swing hard, men often shine. There's no denying it. But when the conditions are tough, pressured, post front, high sun, slick water, fishing turns into chess. And women play that game extremely well. So are women better than men? No, I don't think so. But are women better at parts of fishing that actually catch fish when the fishing gets tough? Yeah, a lot of times I think they are. And here's the real takeaway, especially for us older anglers. If you want to keep catching fish as you age, slow down, lighten up, pay attention, and fish slower, fish smarter. In other words, fish a little more like a woman. Your pride might take a hit, but your live well won't. So that's my thoughts. Again, I know it's a controversial subject. Not trying to make friends or enemies with this video, just trying to state my opinion. If you've ever fished with a woman, you'll have to admit they tend to catch some pretty big fish, and they tend to do pretty well fishing behind you because they fish a completely different style. So thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for watching my video. If you have any thoughts, any comments, please leave them below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And if you have any comments, share them, because other folks are they're gonna read these comments and probably comment on them as well. It is a controversial subject. I don't think that the sport of bass fishing is going to be taken over tomorrow by, women in general. But I think there's room for them, and I think they can compete on a highly competitive basis right alongside of men. So anyway, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and, good fishing to you.